What is your favorite way to cuddle? And why? Facing each other while I put my leg on the other person's thighs. Or me being little spoon and the other person putting their arm under my chest for support. Also laying their upper body across mine as if I'm holding a big baby. And then resting their head on my chest so I can stroke their head. In different beds. For some reason, I am just not a cuddler. I always feel so uncomfortable and way too aware of whether I'm breathing too loudly or quickly. And I can't settle down. Then the other person obviously notices and asks about me being uncomfortable. I just cannot do it. I'm so awkward with physical contact and stiff and overthink it. Laying on my partner's chest with my leg angled up to wrap around him is my fave. It just feels so natural and warm. In general though, I like embracing, like when I'm either laying down or sitting up and my partner lays on my chest, and I can play with his hair or just give little neck scratches. It's funny because in the past I hated cuddling, I hated hearing the sound of someone breathing. Or how hot it would get. For some reason now I crave the closeness more than sexual intimacy. I don't really care what position it is. But what makes my heart smile is when he's sleeping and he cuddles me in his sleep. Sometimes he will roll over and just hold me, or if my head is on his chest he will just place his hand on my head or something. It always takes me forever to go to sleep and he's asleep within seconds, and it just is so sweet to me when his subconscious is like, just gotta hold her for a little bit and quat. Lying down I love to be the little spoon. My partner and I cuddle most nights before we go to sleep. Standing up I like to put my face into his neck. I wore glasses for years so that wasn't a thing. But had laser eye surgery a year ago and now I can press my face right in there. We're almost the same height so it works beautifully. Women in a long-term relationship. What was the hardest chapter of your relationship and how do you overcome it? The change/transition between life phases, e.g. high school to university/college or to full-time work. Got through it just through honesty and being flexible as possible to spend time together. My partner and I moved in together after 6-7 months of dating. It really was way too soon. Neither one of us realized what we signed up for. It was the hardest part of our relationship and sometimes it feels like we're not totally over it too. 5 years later. For the most part we got through with some difficult conversations and trying to be a better partner for the other person because we love each other and knew we wanted to be together. A few months ago my BF had to move out on my call. He's depressed and gets very addicted to his computer. He wasn't showering or really looking for jobs very actively. Since he's moved out things have gotten better. He's got a career ready to get started in a month and things are looking bright. We just moved in together way too young when we both had some growing up to do. I really fucked up the beginning of our relationship and I thought we had failed before we really got a chance to get started. Being in a healthy relationship was confusing for me. I didn't know how to handle it and was engaging in some serious self-sabotage. We worked it out and I'm lucky to have had a second chance because I really didn't deserve it. That his ex-wife was still one of his friends. It's a long story but I had some baggage around their relationship because we had the beginnings of something going before they got married, and when he met her, it was like I didn't exist anymore and we didn't talk for a long time until we reconnected platonically 7 years ago. I had to set some boundaries about what I deemed acceptable and we had to talk through things like why it hurt me so much. We've moved past it and our marriage is moving along nicely. What is the most forgettable U.S. state? I'm taking this a bit of a different route. But I swear I always forget. Hawaii is one of our states. They kinda deserve better tbh. A shocking number of my fellow countrymen and women think that I'm from Mexico when I show my New Mexico driver's license on the East Coast. New Hampshire. I'd say Delaware. But A. Joe Biden, and B. People remember it as the most forgettable state. Ironically enough. Iowa for sure. Every time I try and explain where I'm from people are like, and then I say oh it's by Chicago and they're like oh and quat. Haven't yet come across one comment that actually mentions a state I've never heard of. Given I'm nowhere close to North America let alone the US. North Dakota or Nebraska. Kansas is known for the Wizard of Oz. Delaware is the first and one of the 13 colonies. Iowa has the primary. Wyoming has Yellowstone. South Dakota has Mount Rushmore. What do North Dakota and Nebraska have? I think ND has less, and I definitely think about it a lot less, so North Dakota is probably the most forgettable state. Honestly. New Jersey. I legit didn't know it was a state. It just seems like a New York suburb. For God's sakes. The New York Giants and New York Jets play in Jersey and don't want to associate themselves with the fucking place. Obviously. No one ever thinks of Vermont. The things it's known for are incredibly niche. And very few people who don't either live there or live adjacent can even point to it on a map. Personally, I'm not even sure if Vermont is on the coast or not. I think it is. Sounds coast-wide. But I have no clue. It is shockingly rare for me to even remember that Vermont exists. So yeah. Definitely Delaware. They listen to music while they sleep at night? Audio Machine or Bianca Ban. Occasionally Tom Day. I used to as a kid to drown out any noises that happen in a house. Horror movies traumatized me as a kid, so a creak in the hallway would have my heart pumping hard lol. Nowadays if I use any kind of sounds it's recorded rain since I find it soothing. I listen to the Fall of Civilizations https://youtube.com/@falloffcivilizations. C equals NCHME Omar, podcast and YouTube channel. Paul Cooper has a very soothing voice. Doesn't use high volume music and is a great storyteller and researcher. Top notch. I put the album Hypochondriac by Breakins on repeat with my earbuds in when going to sleep. Somewhere during my sleep, I'll subconsciously take my earbuds out and place them on my nightstand and leave the music playing on speaker for the rest of the night. Ambient music. Totally. 36. Warmth. Matthias Grasso. Andrew Layev. Mount Shrine. KMRU. Cousin Silas. Inesty. Lucette Bourdon. Ufoy. Alyo Dai. Steve Roach. Matthew Florians. Andrew Sherwell. Tom Eaton. Tanya. Son of. Thomas Weiss. Robert Davis. To name a few.